Welcome back to Sunrise Daily, or taking a look at this debate as to what do we do about the minimum wage. Well, the government said they're proposing 24,000 naira. Labour says no, that's not what was agreed in that particular meeting, which we still have the Director of Trade in the Ministry of Labour and Employment here with us. But madam, there are those who, perhaps listening to you, may just suggest it appears government is taking the people for a ride. First of all, they don't understand why this Labour Advisory Council has not sat, because they know that if that body sits, everyone will be there who should be there, and they can make recommendations and they can come to conclusions. They don't understand why would government propose 24,000 naira. Is that even up to $100 to the worker in this present economy? They know that the minimum wage law recommends that, yes, you review this minimum wage time and again. So in spite of all of this information, government seems to be foot dragging about this. Why is that?
Well, an aspect, a very important aspect of determining minimum wage is ability to pay. So it's important, as you know.
Ability on the part of the government?
Yes, to pay, or the employers to pay. Now, you know, it's not just federal government. We have state government, we have the organized private sector. As you know, as at today, some state governments have not even been able to pay the one that was agreed in 2011, the 18,000. And so they have accumulated unpaid salaries. So it's important that the parties reach an agreement that is implementable in terms of payment.
I find it interesting, government is bringing up this, citing, because you cite several laws. The no work, no pay rule, you say is that Labour should remember Section 43 if they are remembering 41 and 42. But minimum wage is under the exclusive legislative list. Do governors really have that locus when it comes to this negotiation? I thought if that negotiation comes through and is agreed upon, states have got no choice but to pay.
A very important.
That's according to our law, isn't it?
The law stipulates that there should be, the Constitution, Section 16(2)(b), stipulates that there should be a living wage. Now, if it says there's a living wage, it's in the exclusive list, but it's important in negotiations that all the parties that will be implementing whatever is agreed are carried along. It's a fundamental principle of the ILO. And so it's important to carry the state government along, knowing that, I mean, they would have to consider their ability to pay. And that's why it's important to arrive at a figure that is implementable. If they arrive, like we did the last time, at a figure that some state governments have found it difficult to implement, what happens when we hike the figure? So I think what government has been trying to do is to appeal to the organized private sector as well as the organized labor to have a figure that has a consensus of all the stakeholders so that the issue of implementation does not become challenging.
Is government saying now that if states say they can't pay, that's a condition precedent upon which they can't move ahead?
Well, we keep negotiating until we reach a figure that they're comfortable with. That should be the...
Well, Champale, let me say that all those factors, including the factor of ability to pay, have been considered. In fact, we have gone beyond the issue of just mere proposal. We have even given areas of wastages. Let me also try to correct the fact. When the 2010 minimum wage was implemented in 2011, every state implemented it. What happened was, at the eve of 2015 election, we knew what happened. Many of the states emptied their treasury, some also overborrowed, coupled with the challenge in the economy. Economies do bubble, and economies do burst. This is a fact everywhere around the world. We know, as a matter of fact, that the purchasing power of many Nigerians have constricted. Same with the issue of disposable income. That have affected our GDP. It's when you have money in circulation in the hands of people, like workers, that the economy can get stimulated. This is a fact that have been tested. Even World Bank have agreed to that evidence-based approach. So to say that we have not considered, that's why Labour had to, from its demand of 16,500, now agree through consensus to a mere 30,000. Let me also put the fact before her. Many states are paying 25,000 even now. Edo State, you remember, in the mix of recession. Same with Delta. Many states, 22,500. This different states, because the minimum wage is only a national floor. State can pay higher, and many states are paying higher. This is the fact. And therefore, we have, even in the case of federal government, put up some advices that can actually put more money in the hands of government. One is the issue of saving from wastages. We refer to the report of the Auditor General of the Federation, where it is reported that over ₦1 trillion have actually disappeared. We said recover this money. The report of NIATI is there. And secondly, we also said we cannot be engaging in policy somersault. You remember that this whole policy about 8-year tenure for directors and permanent secretaries is actually to try to make sure that the system is actually freeze, because we follow through that process. Before you arrive at a level of director, if you don't jump your promotion, it will almost 30 years. And by the time you add 8 years as a director, it means you are already 60 years or 35 years in service. This government came and reverted it, and now the civil service is top heavy because there is no movement. These are some of the policies that we think, if implemented, because they are well thought out, it will actually address the issue of funding, even in the area of federal government, and this issue of IPs. As far back as 2005, 2004, through the public service reform, we have agreed that there should be a personal audit. And therefore, workers and the ministry should key into IPs. We have seen through the process how many money have been recovered, because this issue of ghost figure, ghost worker is also a way of siphoning money. It's connivance at the highest level. We have seen even the case of many agencies. You remember the case of Air Force during the last regime, where a lot of money had been siphoned through salaries. And we said this thing can be blocked, and therefore a lot of money can be recovered, and it can be used to pay workers and make them productive. This is the argument. So the issue of ability to pay have been considered. And that's why you can see in my submission